Have you or someone you know experienced unexplained health issues potentially linked to electronic warfare? Project Archimedes, in conjunction with law firm Disabled Rights Advocates, is leading a groundbreaking worldwide action against the United States government, focusing on the impacts of 5G, EMF, and other unexplained phenomena, including what's known as Havana Syndrome.
We're dealing with energy weapons.
Permanent brain injuries, the unexplained, serious medical harm connected to a mysterious direct-to-energy weapon.
It was like this piercing feeling on the side of my head.
If you've suffered from symptoms like headaches, dizziness, memory loss, or other unusual health effects that you believe could be related to these technologies, we want to hear from you. We are seeking justice for those affected by these potentially harmful technologies.
Sharp, localized ear pain, dull unilateral headache, tinnitus or ringing in one ear, vertigo, visual focusing issues, disorientation, nausea, and extreme fatigue.
This was the most terrifying experience of my life. I had no control.
By joining this movement, you could help prevent future harm and potentially seek compensation for what has been endured.
We have created a global class action lawsuit. Foreign litigants would be availed to the U.S. courts to seek recovery for those who caused the damage. All roads point back to the United States.
To learn more about your rights, potential eligibility, and how to join the movement, visit projectarchimedes.org.
So we're going to sue in the United States with people from all over the planet who qualify to be a plaintiff simply on the basis that they spend an hour or more a day within 100 meters of a 5G transmitter.
Project Archimedes and attorney Todd Callender are committed to fighting for those who have been impacted.
These are the people who can't fight for themselves. They're the ones who can't hire the lawyer.
Visit projectarchimedes.org today to find out more about joining the movement.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, Cordelia. It's a happy day because I get to spend time with you. Thanks for doing the production today.
Of course, of course.
And today we're going to do Project Archimedes with our guest, Mascha, who I believe is actually in Germany.
Yes. Should be a lovely time of year for them, and it should be interesting to hear from our guest.
Yeah, I think so. I'm really actually fascinated to talk with Mascha. She's a really brilliant person, and she's actually leading as a coordinator for Project Archimedes in Europe. As you well know, this is a global class action lawsuit we're bringing. So my hope is that this interview, I think she might be interviewing me for part of it, is going to lend a hand to her raising up a whole bunch of litigants who will join us in this fight to stop 5G, stop the Targeted Individuals program, free humanity. At least that's my hope and vision. I imagine it is yours as well.
Yes, it's important that we all work together as a planet to protect each other.
It's true, Cordelia. At the end of the day, we're in World War III, and the war is on humanity. We're going to put a stop to that. So thank you for your help today. As always, it's a pleasure. Thanks to you and the Clout Hub Vax Choice team for making all this possible. If we didn't have you, this wouldn't happen. So thanks for making the special effort to be here.
Of course, and I'll be back later for questions.
Beautiful. Okay, with that said, to the monologue we go. It's a different day, ladies and gentlemen. A short while ago, we had President Trump take office. Somehow he survived the attacks on him, assassination attempt. I don't think it was one. I think it has been many when you include his first tenure in office. I understand there was 3 at that point in time. Why? Because he is a threat to the status quo. I confess to you that I have had a little bit of trouble judging. What is he going to do? Is he going to be the real thing and help fix our country, our republic, and humanity? Or is he not? The reason I say that is because he cozies up to a lot of people who are not friendly to us, particularly in the vaccine business. We now know, and we've certainly been saying and filed lawsuits historically, that, hey, these things are poison. This was intentional. People trying to poison us, people trying to kill us. But we now know that he is actually undoing all of the wrongs that have led up to this point in time where the American people stood and said no more. Thank you for putting that piece up. I think it's fascinating as we look to what actions he's taking, we can garner some knowledge as to where he's going to go. That first asset you shared was from InfoWars. And despite the fact that Congress wrote a law repealing the mandate, the vaccine mandate in the DoD, we forced them to do it, by the way. They said that they were going to make service members whole, meaning all of those people in our lawsuit and the others like it who stood and said, I'm not taking your poison, were run out of the military. Their benefits were cut off. They were treated horribly. And Congress's law that they wrote and passed last year required the DoD to make those people whole. That means you put them back to the way that you found them. That was actually in our lawsuit as well. And the Congress didn't do that. The DoD didn't do that. They treated them horribly, as though they were some kind of a cancer. It's just the opposite. The military is full of a cancer, and President Trump is in there cleaning it up. How and why? Because he's restoring service members where they were. He is making them whole. And I'm so grateful to hear that, because we've got, thousands and thousands of service members as clients. And to see them finally get what is richly deserved by them in terms of benefits, maybe putting their uniform back on. I hope that they will proudly display their well-earned combat patch. This is what it is that all of our plaintiffs wore on their uniforms to say, hey, I am part of the resurrection of our DoD. So that was the first asset. Secondarily, we see Trump says, oh, sorry, but we're not going to have transgender training in the military. We're not going to force people to march around in red high heels. The fact is, ladies and gentlemen, your job in the military is to kill people. I was in the military, and that was the training. How do you eliminate that target over there? Most of the time, that target is either manned by or a person. You are trained and hired killers. And when you distract trained and hired killers with transgender issues, training, marching people around in high heels, and adding confusion to the battlefield, all it does is get service members killed. That's it. And of course, when we look at how Secretary Austin fragged his troops, ordering 1.4 million of them to take a poison shot, it makes perfect sense that if you wanted to turn your killing machine into a whimpering machine, what would you do? You would confuse people. You would let anything go, and by virtue of the West Point honor system, you would demolish that, and that's what they did. They allowed cadets to steal and lie. You can't have mistrust on the battlefield. You must have trust in leadership, and that's actually how it was. We ended up stopping the DoD. We pointed out the facts, we showed the evidence, and the service members understood it, and they said, no, I'm not taking your damn poison. You can't force me to. And we stopped the biggest killing machine on the planet with the truth. The other truth is, if you want to have a killing machine, you can't have distractions like that. You are either there to train to do your job, or you're not. That job is killing people. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. And that's how they protect our nation. So I'm happy to see similar type of policies going back the way they were. I understand this has no effect on people in the military who are gay. If you want to be gay, be gay. Nobody cares. Do your job. That's what it's about. But eliminate the distractions. Also really important is Mr. Trump saying no more CDC, FDA hype. I don't want to hear about bird flu. We all know that public health emergencies were used for the purpose of invoking a law as found in 42 CFR Part 70 and 71. When a public health declaration is made, guess what? All power rests in the public health officials, who are, in fact, what? The Defense Health Agency, the DoD, militarized medicine, military, medical, martial law. And what Mr. Trump is saying is, screw that. We're not going to raise up a bunch of hype to scare people into taking more shots. I do have concerns, Mr. President, and I know you watch this from time to time. Listen, please, mRNA, it's poison. It's pure poison. The reason I sued the DoD is because my family had been testing mRNA shots for 20 years. In all cases, the test animals died. mRNA, monkeying with God's creation, God's genome, is not going to solve health problems. And I understand you're trying to solve for cancer. Cancer's already been solved. Professor Vladislav Volinsky, he cured cancer 40 years ago. He's 100% success rate. He's still practicing. Over 40 years, he's cured every kind of cancer with 100% cure rate. That means we have solved cancer. Why are we inventing things to cure cancer when it's already been cured? So please, Mr. President, please understand this. You are being taken for a ride on this mRNA gene modification. I pray you listen. In the meantime, another good thing that he's done is he's got Marco Rubio as the Secretary of State. And I confess to you, in past times, I've been very concerned about Mr. Rubio because he seemed a lot like a rhino. But now he's saying different things. Cordelia, let's hear from the man himself. Play Senator Rubio, now Secretary Rubio, as I understand it.
First, I want to thank Jeanette, my wife, who has been so supportive. As the Vice President knows well, it's impossible to do any of these jobs we do here, including the Senate, but now in this new role, without the support of our family and particularly of our spouses. And so thank you for being supportive every step of the way. I would not stand here before you today without that. I'm also thrilled and grateful that all four of my children are here. They're the most important legacy any of us will leave behind. The most important job I'll ever have is that of a father and a husband, and I'm honored that they are able to join us. I want to end by thanking Almighty God and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That is truly the singular purpose of our lives. It's the most important priority. It's the only thing that will matter when we take our last breath on this earth. But this is an extraordinary opportunity.
Yeah, you know what, he's right about that. I always say the only thing you take to the grave with you is memories. You know, are they good memories or bad memories? But either way, we are all going to be judged. And I take a lot of solace in what it is he just said. Also in order of his priorities, his family. Our nation, our species was built on families. They are the single most important thing in your life next to your relationship with your Creator. I am happy, beyond happy to hear him say that openly and publicly. It doesn't mean that our Jewish friends or Muslim friends or whomever else, Hindus, a relationship with your Creator, who you believe that to be your Creator, is fundamental because we worship God, not men. It is that priority, right, where we've gotten us backwards over the last 30, 40 years. We've been convinced that the gods of this planet are leaders of government or the World Economic Forum. No, 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 no. They're gangsters. That's all they are. They are imperfect humans. Only God is perfect. And Senator Rubio, or Secretary Rubio, as the case may be, thank you for saying that. It's important because we are in this war. The war on humanity is a spiritual war. Satan wants our souls. God wants us to thrive. Choose your side wisely. It's actually pretty easy. So thank you for that, Mr. Rubio. The next segment, I think, is also fascinating. I think it speaks for itself. And then we'll get to Mascha. Go ahead and play the next one, would you?
I propose putting an end to anonymity on social media. In our countries, no one can walk the streets with a mask on their face or drive a car without a license plate. No one can send packages without showing an ID or buy a hunting weapon without giving their name. And yet, we are allowing people to roam freely on social networks without linking their profiles to a real identity. This paving the way for misinformation, hate speech, and cyber harassment, because it is facilitating the use of bots, and it is allowing people to act without being held accountable for their actions. Such an anomaly cannot continue. In a democracy, citizens have the right to privacy, not to anonymity or impunity. Because with those two, social coexistence would be impossible.
Oh.
That is why I believe we must push forward the principle of pseudonymity as the...
Yeah, did you see that sign in front of him, World Economic Forum? That's the president of Spain. And what is he pushing for? Digital ID, so that they can track every piece of you, every molecular change in your body is what they want. And why is he talking about speech? Because they've lost the war. They have lost the information war. You, ladies and gentlemen, by taking interest in and copies of the podcast that we do and others and sending out that information has changed the hearts and minds of humanity. They now understand what truth really is and that the government doesn't have a monopoly on truth. All of the governments are propaganda machines. That's why the Smith-Mundt Act was repealed by Obama, so that your government could lie to you legally. And that happened around the world, and this guy is a liar, right? What is the best part of cash? It's anonymous. Guess what the best part of CloutHub is? It's anonymous. With anonymity comes freedom, unparalleled freedom. And if you try to take away anonymity, you try and eliminate privacy, you end up in tyranny. What is he talking about? Limiting your free speech. They want to know who you are so that if you say the truth, they will come and get you. Let me tell you something. Anonymity is the principle of freedom, and that lives. That is our ethos at CloutHub. So if you want to be anonymous, if you want to be free, please come over there, because we are the only platform who doesn't require you to give us details. We don't want to know. Read our privacy policy statement. We are the antithesis of what the president of Spain just said. Why? Because it's the marketplace of ideals that allows us to come to the best conclusion. Information. Today is a good example of that. We have Mascha on today. We're talking about 5G. We're all getting cooked in place right now, but more so, targeted individuals, people that the government has chosen to persecute for what they say, are under attack, electronic attack. Mascha is coming from Europe. She's been a leader in this fight for, I don't know, Mascha, years and years. And we're finally to a place where we can file a lawsuit and pray that we will have success. And even if we don't, we're going to win the information war. So God bless you for being here, Mascha. It's a pleasure to have you. Welcome to Truth Be Told.
Hi, Todd. Such a pleasure to talk to you in person at last.
It's been a challenge across the ocean. Give us a little bit of background. How did you get here, Mascha? What's your story?
Well, primarily, I would say I represent the Jewish resistance. I'm daughter and granddaughter of Holocaust survivors. And as such, I founded the We Were Humanity, which is an international initiative by Holocaust survivors and their descendants. Our primary task, what we've been doing all the time, was to use reasonable freedom of speech to actually point at the parallels between what was happening 8 years ago and the methods during the COVID era.
Yes.
And we also opposed and are still opposing the weaponizing of Holocaust and of the anti-Semitism cudgel to stifle critics. So I am activist first and foremost. So I'm also interested in other topics. And I just asked myself one day, we are being attacked, such a bright front, such a white front, excuse me. It's about gender, it's about vaccination, also called vaccination. It's about 5G, it's about wars all around the world. We are being attacked in many different ways.
Yes.
And I just ask myself, is the one thing which must work to make sure that the entire globalistic plan works? And the result for me is there are two things: 5G and propaganda.
Yes.
Because without 5G, none of what we are confronted with would work.
That's right. It's the Achilles heel.
That's it. It's just evil. And the things you mentioned so far, they wouldn't work without 5G, not the digital money.
Yes.
No smart cities.
That's right.
No internet of bodies, internet of things, and so on and on and
That's
on.
right.
In short, the control grid wouldn't be possible without 5G.
Fabulous. The enslavement of humanity is not possible without 5G, and that was the mission. We found it in our suit against the DoD. which we took all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. And what we found along the way is by use of genetic modification agents in the shots that they now put in all shots, the hydrogels in all shots, they're genetically modifying people into chattel property. That the current state of the law in the United States is if you genetically modify a genome, you now own the genome. In other words, humanity is in an extinction level event, in so much that they are going to either kill us or transform us into a new species. Either way, humanity is extinct if they succeed. All of that depends exactly what it is that you said. They have to convince us to take these shots. They have to convince us that 5G is in our best interest. They have to convince us to be hooked into their digital ID. And if they can't do that, they cannot eradicate our species, which is exactly what's happening. So you saw this on the horizon. You got yourself involved. I'm grateful for it. I don't remember exactly how we met, but for the last year, we've been working on launching Project Archimedes. There you go, a new combat patch for Mascha. She's a leader in what is going to be a global class action lawsuit for the purpose of stopping 5G.
Todd, you are known in the US, but in Europe, I still would like to introduce you if you don't mind.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
I'm here to help, and that's the point of today is to let people know this is actually happening. We call it Project Archimedes. We've already drafted the complaint. It's giving access to foreign litigants to the U.S. court system. We'll be suing the U.S. government amongst other people. And Mascha, as you well know, these are actually war crimes. Why? Because that signal, that 5G signal, 300 megahertz to 300 gigahertz, is harmful to humans. And our government knows that. Our DOD knows that because they've had exclusive ownership of that band, that range of frequencies, for 30 years, and they've developed weapons that you are seeing deployed now. You see the fires in Palisades in California, the fires in Maui, people falling over dead on the street in China, all of that related to 5G. By the way, Wuhan, China was the first city in the world to become 5G. 10,000 transmitters turned on Halloween night 2019. And what happened in the next week? People started dying. Why? Because every malady known to man can be caused by those frequencies. So say our experts who are going to testify to that in our lawsuit. What we need is people like you, you're a leader, Mascha, to gather up as many people who understand the paradigm or who want to understand the paradigm to join the lawsuit. It doesn't cost them anything. There's a small application fee. It's like $10. And that's it. And we're, by the way, Mascha, we're going to sue for $1 trillion. So there's a chance for people to finally recover because I think you know, and I would like to hear stories of it, people that are injured right now, targeted individuals who can't think straight. This is real.
Just to bring up to speed our audience, before we get to the today topics, let me just give you credits. Todd Callender is the American attorney. He has been working in the disability, health, and life insurance industries for more than 20 years, focusing on the international convergence of biomedical, mobility, and mortality risk in a global legal context. During the COVID era, you mentioned it, but as I said, for our European audience, Todd is standing up against the global medical experiment on billions of people. In 2022, Todd sued the US Department of Defense. He was lead counsel in a federal lawsuit related to the mandatory COVID vaccination of US military personnel. The Department of Defense mandate was overturned, and the forced vaccinations were stopped as a result of this lawsuit and the uproar it caused within the military. I have some questions related to the introduction as well as general questions.
Sure.
To start with, I just would like to say it over again. You defeated the Department of Defense. It's amazing.
Yeah.
How many clients have you had?
Hundreds of thousands. So when we filed a temporary restraining order against the Secretary of Defense, meaning before he issued the order, we served him with 1,000 pages of evidence from notable experts that said, hey, all the test animals died. And by the way, between 1/3 and 1/2 of the contents of the vials is antifreeze, never before used in humans intravenously. And despite the fact that we handed this to him personally, he was properly served with a complaint and a temporary restraining order, he still issued the order. And the order was to force vaccinate all of the troops in the DoD with use of force authorized, meaning they were going to hold people down. And Mascha, we filed that lawsuit, and he issued the order anyway, which means he did it with malice aforethought. And we raised up, in the first instance, 210,000 litigants as plaintiffs in our lawsuit. We fought motions to dismiss for 3 years, all the way to U.S. Supreme Court. And as a part of that process of litigating this, we came across more and more information that we shared amongst all of our service member clients, and we trained them. We gave them templates, legal templates. Here's how you do it. And everybody papered the holy hell out of the DoD, filing criminal complaints, Article 138s, vaccine exemption requests. At the end of the day, 1/4 of the entire U.S. military stood up to Secretary Austin and said, no, we are not taking your poison. So it was 400,000 service members at the end of the day that we helped stop the DoD.
So 400,000 clients.
Yes.
And this was a class action. Todd, since not every legal system has a class action, could you please explain what it means?
Sure. It means that there's a group of people who are in similar circumstances that are similarly harmed. So in the case of the military, all of the clients were either employees of the DoD or service members that were supposed to have this shot. They were similarly worried about the vaccine injuries because of the poisons in the shots. So they had a similar circumstance. They were being similarly damaged in so much that if they didn't take the shots, they'd be thrown out of the military. And for that reason, they formed a class. So we're seeing the same thing here. The reality, Mascha, is that effectively all of humanity is eligible to be a class in this lawsuit to stop 5G, because the damage being done is as simple as this. This is the threshold. If you live or you spend more than 1 hour a day within 100 meters of a 5G transmitter, you are being cooked, you are harmed, and you are eligible to join this class action lawsuit. In reality, it could be as big as billions of people suing if they wanted to join. Everybody is getting cooked right now.
I see. So you're preparing class action. Again, class action, you explained what it means. And this time, this is about 5G.
And targeted individuals. And let me also say this. The people that join the class will be entitled, if we prevail, to recovering part of that $1 trillion in damages. If you're in the class, you get paid. If we win, if you're not in the class, then you don't get paid. But we will at least stop 5G. That's our plan.
So you also said something like the US government has lost their army to you. It's perhaps not the precise wording, but I understand what you mean. If they try something like that again with the US army, they won't stand a chance.
That's correct.
So your class action had as well an educational effect.
Yes.
It is about telling the story.
Yes.
To maybe 10 other peoples and asking them to tell the story to 10 other peoples. And today we have to tell another more story about a new class action of yours. And again, I have some questions, I have some thoughts which I would like to discuss with you.
Yeah.
You sent, prior to our conversation, you sent to me a link to our website of the National Institute of Health. And this is a study with the title 5G Technology in Healthcare and Wearable Devices, a review. I find this project frightening. The keywords are 5G, wearable devices, healthcare, chronic diseases, health monitoring, telemedicine, Internet of Things, Internet of Medical Things, and last but not least, robotic surgery. And the word smart appears 61 times in this paper.
Holy cow.
However, the word is an acronym that
Yes, it
most
is.
people do not know. And there is the interpretation of the word saying this is surveillance, monitoring, analysis, and reporting technology. However, I believe that the original meaning derives from IT diagnostics, and it is self-monitoring, analysis, and reporting technology, which is of a sense because we actually do monitor ourselves by voluntarily carrying portable monitoring devices with us all the time. So it's about supporting your class action, supporting your efforts by consciously dealing with this topic ourselves.
Yes,
It was
that's
important
right.
to me to say. So
You're right.
what was the reason for you to send this link to me? It's just about
Sure.
information, or there are some legally relevant contents in this paper?
There are.
Okay.
And so part of the discovery that we came upon in the lawsuit against the Department of Defense, who was tasked with effectively destroying humanity. That was their job. Operation Warp Speed was launched in 2016 before Mr. Trump took office. He didn't know that, by the way. And they did a pilot study, and you can look it up for yourself. It was on 44,000 service members and their families. The study was C459-1001. So before they rolled out the poison shots, the mRNA shots to the rest of the world, they used 44,000 service members and their families as victims to test this bioweapon. And if you look in the protocols, they used something called an InTouch e-diary that was a device, was on people's cell phones or on their Fitbit or a wearable, just a device that hooks into the cell phone network or the internet. And this device was measuring real-time changes in people's cellular function in their bodies due to the genetic modification materials. And they were measuring the internal organisms, the internal changes in people's genomes, genetically and otherwise, and sending that information to a company in Israel in real time, where they laundered the data. They took out 1,200 deaths, frankly, murders. They took out an 82% spontaneous abortion rate, and they took out 1,291 new diseases those victims got for participating in the field trial. And then they sent it back to the DoD, Pfizer, and the FDA, and they said it's safe and effective. So they laundered all of the true data, and they gave this picture safe and effective. Then the poison shots were rolled out on the rest of the world. That helped me understand that inside of these shots, inside the hydrogel, are nanobots. These are autonomous, programmable, beyond microscopic little computers, little robots that swim around in people's bodies and do different things, including affecting people's brains. They go past the blood-brain barrier. They effectuate cellular changes in people. And the ability of those nanobots to communicate those changes with the ePCR device, which is what this is, we came to understand is further. And what you saw in that document, it wasn't just measuring all of that information. We have whistleblowers now. We have lots and lots of whistleblowers who say that they have already hooked all of the vaxxed people, everybody that got the nanobots, into the wireless system. That's cell phone and Wi-Fi, something Google calls the mesh, MESH. So they've already hybridized, they've already changed people into something they call synbio, effectively man-machines. And these devices are the means by which they are able to remotely control people. And that paper demonstrates the
And
technology.
you can prove the existence of these nanocomputers in people's blood.
Yes. Yes, not only that, but we also have what is called self-authenticating evidence. We have the government's own documents saying we are going to do this, and here's what it looks like, and here's how it's going to work. Then we have the evidence of when they actually did that. That's what I just explained, C4591001 and other such studies. And we have expert witnesses, 2,500 of them, scientists and doctors, who actually go to the trouble of analyzing people's blood and doing mass spectrometry and other testing. We have all of the evidence
So,
already.
could you just give me a brief overview? What are the subjects you're going to deal with within your class action? These are probably effects for the health. Further?
Yes. Yes. So first and foremost, we have to allege that there are damages. We have to allege that there's a causal relationship to 5G causing the damages. And then we have to provide the evidence to the court to demonstrate this. And we have all of that evidence. And so the bottom line is this. The easiest way to prove, the easiest way to stop 5G is by demonstrating that mere proximity to a 5G transmitter is causing harm in our client. And of course, we'll have lots of evidence to support that. That's the easiest hurdle to come. We will also be introducing evidence and expert witnesses, including whistleblowers, who've gone through the system of disclosing to the Congress or whomever else that in fact the technology exists today, that they have already hooked people into the Internet of Things, the Internet of Bodies, and that they are able to remotely control people's bodies. In fact, one such whistleblower who is integrating people's bodies into a hospital's healthcare system will testify that not only can they remotely observe everything happening inside the person, they can remotely turn off entire systems, organs. There is a glycoprotein in the hydrogel in all the shots called mCherry, MCHERRY. It is something called an opsin, OPSIN. And when that is exposed to a certain frequency, it's in the terahertz range, it turns the electric signals of your heart on and off. They literally gave themselves the ability to turn your heart on and off through a tablet or an iPhone or any other such device. That technology is not in the future. That technology is now, and it's already been deployed. That's why we got to stop.
This is scary. You have already mentioned that your project is of relevance for the people all around the world. This is obviously that there are questions of relevance for people like myself, for our audience. I would like to ask you these questions. To start with, how am I to know that I am suffering from the effects of the wireless radiation? To my knowledge, there were no studies to document effects to human health to rely on. So if I have, for example, headache, what is the reason? It might be, but I don't know. What am I to watch out to?
So first and foremost, there are standards and two things to keep in mind. We're suing in the United States, and we're following along on a case that was already won by Robert Kennedy. Bobby Kennedy's law firm is called Children's Health Defense. The lead lawyer is a fellow by the name of Scott McCullough, who has already come on Truth Be Told to explain how it was that he prevailed. He put 11,000 pages of evidence into the federal court record. The judge agreed with Scott, and he issued an order to the Federal Communications Commission to issue standards that actually meant something, like how much time you can spend on the phone or not, because the old standards were fraudulent. The reality is this. If you are in proximity to 5G, you are being damaged. And there are international standards by the WHO and the European agencies. They are also detailed in the IEEE, whereby the science indicates that mere proximity and exposure for an hour or more within 100 meters of a 5G transmitter is causing damage to your body. This is settled science. It's a fact. Violation of the standards alone entitles you to recovery in the lawsuit and damages. The FCC, by the way, despite a court order, has refused to adopt the new standards, which means that we can compel them in our lawsuit to do that. So there's a few different parts of this lawsuit, the most important part of which is to force the U.S. government to stop 5G until such time as those standards exist or until such time as they can remediate the damage being done. It includes, by the way, congressional testimony that diabetes is caused in laboratory animals by simply exposing them to 5G. In the Caribbean, where I live, we have 70% of the population now has diabetes, adult onset diabetes. We can prove there's a causal relationship between exposure to these frequencies and to the harm people are suffering. One of our expert witnesses, Dr. Leavely, has and will testify that every malady, every disease known to mankind can be caused by frequencies in that range and are being caused by that.
Okay, so it would be the next question, how people are to prove the causality, but this is something you can do already.
That's right.
And your project is named Archimedes, and there is a website where we can get various details to this project. And I assume that you are providing the data, like, for example, with symptoms,
Yes.
On your website, on the Archimedes website.
That's right. It's projectarchimedes.org. If you go there right now, you can get a lot of information that we're talking about. And then there's a form. It's really simple. If people fill out that form, it goes to our law firm and we analyze whether they qualify to be a plaintiff. Like I said, it's very easy. You effectively just have to say, I live within 100 meters of a 5G transmitter. Other people have actually gone to the trouble of getting diagnosed. We've got lengthy medical records and reports on existing plaintiffs who have well demonstrated the harm caused to them, which includes in some cases, Mascha, people that have had implants that didn't even know that they had implants. Some of these have been removed. So not different, not unlike what happened in the case of the military with the shots. This is another attack on humanity. They are trying to destroy our species, and if we don't stop 5G, they will cook us all to death, literally. So fill out a form, join the lawsuit. We need you. We need plaintiffs from every country in the world. And they will be entitled, as foreign litigants, access to the U.S. courts, where we will take this to the Supreme Court if necessary. We've done it before. We'll do it again. But I want people to understand something really important. If you become a plaintiff in this lawsuit, you will get access to the weekly symposiums that we're going to be doing with all of our expert witnesses. We're going to try our case in the court of public opinion as we try our case in the courts. Why? Because like the military, if we had 400,000 people stand up and say, no, you are not going to cook me, then we have a chance to stop this. And the best example I can give you is this. There's a guy by the name of Mark Steele in the United Kingdom. He and I and our team drafted criminal complaints because battery, using that device 5G to batter us, cause us harm, is illegal. It's a crime. So we filed criminal complaints across the world, in his case across the United Kingdom. And even though the courts didn't do anything and the police didn't do anything about it, we had a great result. And that result is this. People in the United Kingdom are cutting down the 5G towers. They are in Peru, they are in Ecuador, they are in Australia, and they're doing it while the cops look the other way. Why? Because we educated the police that they too are being cooked. We also educated the police, hey, we have a criminal battery happening right now. And under the law, under all law, civil and common law alike, you have a right as a person to defend yourself. If somebody's coming at you with a knife, you have the right to remove that knife. This is no different. There is a knife stabbing you all day, every day, and you as a person have a right to remove that knife. And that's exactly what's happened. The people in the United Kingdom, they're called the Blade Runners, are going around and removing the threat to save themselves, and the police are letting them do it. So even if we don't prevail in court immediately, our information campaign will allow us to prevail in that way. And if you want to, you can go to Project Archimedes or you can go to 5 Small Stones and you can download those criminal complaints right now. You can file them with your police, and I encourage you to do it. And sometimes, believe it or not, the police will remove the 5G system from you because they understand it's battering you. So if we educate humanity to stand together, Mascha, we can defeat this like we defeated the biggest killing machine the planet has ever known, otherwise known as the U.S. Department of Defense.
Todd, what would be actually the precondition for me, for example, for other people in Europe to join, to become your clients? For example, would we need to sue in front of national court to start with?
No. You need only fill out the form on Project Archimedes, and in that form, it will ask you some questions that establish jurisdiction for us. One question is, do you live within 100 meters of a 5G transmitter? Tick. If the answer is yes, you qualify to be a plaintiff in this lawsuit.
So actually, the fact that there are no official studies about effects to the people's health,
there's lots of them.
Also, a good thing about it, I can claim to have effects to start with.
Yes, you are presumed to have that by virtue of the international standards in place right now. We take that 100 meters from a 5G transmitter from international standards. We don't have to prove anything other than those standards were violated because these people lived or spent more than an hour a day close to that transmitter. That's it. Now, a lot of people have already come to us and they've got all kinds of problems. And as I mentioned, they've seen expert medical doctors, medical scientists, and experts who have said and sworn oaths, sworn affidavits, these people are harmed. Here's what the injuries are. And the causality is from 5G, period. So there's going to be a blend of people who have already had the diagnosis. Maybe they have implants. Maybe they're getting voice to skull technology in their head. Some people, it may be as simple as I reside within, my house is within 100 meters of a 5G tower. Either way, people have the jurisdictional basis to join our lawsuit, and we want them to join from around the world.
Talking about standards, I would like to mention something really amazing. I'm not sure if you're aware, there are some permitted levels in every country.
Yes.
And what is permitted in Germany is 100-fold of what is permitted in Switzerland.
Yes.
And the least we can say about it, that there is no scientific grounds whatsoever to decide which level is safe and which is not, because we have the same digital standards in the Switzerland as we have in Germany. The same services are provided to the people.
That's right.
We can say as much, there is no need in the radiation levels we used to have in Germany. There is no need to have 100-fold of what is in place in the Switzerland.
So let me ask you a
Yes.
question. If you were exposed to a nuclear accident and you were being irradiated by, for example, cesium-137, would that not cause you to believe you've been damaged? Right? Living next to a radioactive waste pile of cesium-137, would you assume that you are being irradiated and harmed?
Sure.
And the answer to the question is, of course. Now, hydrogen of the shots, and what we found in the 5G towers is cesium-137. That is a radioactive material. It's what they use in atomic bombs. It's what they use in the atomic clock. People are being irradiated at this very moment in time, which is absolutely positively, fundamentally causing harm. That is established science. And so the short answer to your question is, irrespective of those standards, almost all of which are flawed, they make no difference in so much that people are being harmed, regardless of the standards. And by the way, that is what the U.S. federal court ordered the FCC to do, was to develop standards similar to what you see in Switzerland. And the FCC refused to do that. So we're going to force them to.
I see. Todd, if I join, how much am I to pay? I think you mentioned it already, but please could you tell it again?
Sure. Yes, we have to hire people to actually go through every single form, every single application to ensure that they meet the standards to be on the lawsuit. People will pay a $10 processing fee. That's it. There is no further cost to our litigants.
It is affordable, I think. Thank you.
$10. I think people can, if they can afford lunch, they can afford to, and some people have said, well, you know, I spend $10 on lottery tickets. Well, here's the reality. Your odds of partaking in our $1 trillion worth of damages is a lot better than the lottery. Your odds are much higher. So if you're going to spend $10 on lottery tickets, you might as well spend $10 on applying and becoming a plaintiff in our lawsuit.
Sure. Who apart from affected might or should join Archimedes?
Oh, good. That's a great question. Because we actually need all of humanity to stand up. So we've reflected that in our patches that we have rolled out. So everybody that joins the lawsuit as a litigant will get one of these, and it's in Latin so that everybody around the world can understand. But accusator means a plaintiff. But there are also supporters. So we're looking for people to help us with the cost of litigation. And they can simply be supporters. In this case, it's Cultor. So if they want to donate, we will be most pleased to have them. We'll be happy to send them their combat patch as well. And they're entitled to the information we're going to provide. In reality, we want the world to understand. We want the world to watch our weekly symposiums that we're doing on this subject on Cloud Hub, because information is the key. We are in an information war. And just as you said before, if people have the knowledge, then they'll put a stop to it. And that's it. It's by all of us working together and standing together that we will stop this and humanity will survive. So whether they're a supporter or whether they're a lawyer or whether they're a litigant, we want everybody on this planet to jump in and be a part of this.
So meaning you might use help of lawyer colleagues.
I'm sorry, use what?
Help of
Yes.
lawyer colleagues.
Oh yeah, lots. We actually need lawyers in most every country because I'm licensed to work in the United States as a lawyer. I'm not licensed in other nations. So we really want other lawyers in Germany and United Kingdom and elsewhere to join. And we actually have quite a few already. We've got lawyers that we've been fighting with alongside of for the last 4 years to try and stop the shots. And these same lawyers are part of our lawsuit, including Scott McCullough, who prevailed in the lawsuit against the FCC. We're going to pick up where he left off and drive it forward. And with some luck, we'll have lawyers in every jurisdiction and plaintiffs in every jurisdiction.
Todd, I would like to mention one aspect. If you don't mind, I would like to read something out. Okay.
Sure.
In 1993, the US Army conducted an experiment, the results of which were subsequently published in the scientific journal Advances. The aim was to find out whether and how human emotions influence DNA and over what distances. The result of this scientific experiment was the realization that our ideas, expectations, and emotions, which are part of our inexplicable consciousness, play a fundamental role in the nature of reality.
Yes.
Through positive experiences of love, compassion, and forgiveness, we build a healing and ordering effect. In contrast, negative emotions such as hatred, suffering, and jealousy weigh heavily on our existence.
Yes.
This is why secret services and governments have long known that they can control the world through mass media and frequency technologies by exploiting the collective emotions of all people in the world and using these methods to manipulate and control the masses emotionally.
Yes.
I personally am convinced that one of the essential purposes of wireless technologies is to disrupt the delicate harmony of our emotions and thus remove our ability to determine reality through positive emotions.
Positively correct. And it's been well demonstrated, Mascha. I can give you an example. So in the 18 gigahertz range, that's the 5G range, the U.S. Army in 1991 sent a signal into the brains, all of the brains of the Iraqi soldiers, and a person pretended to be Allah and said, throw down your weapons, surrender. And they did. It's called voice to skull technology. And it's an example of exactly what it was you're talking about. And you may remember, if you were around, watching hundreds of thousands of Iraqi soldiers throwing their weapons down and surrendering to news reporters, surrendering to anybody they could. They did so because they thought their God was in their head talking to them. That is an ideal example of what it is you're talking about. There are other disruptive technologies as well. They're using microwave signals to burn people's skin, to actually kill them. We saw that in Australia, and now you have the U.S. Congress even agreeing something called the Havana syndrome is frequencies scrambling the brains of people. And when they do it in a mass setting, you've got it exactly right. Why do you think the government so carefully controls who gets to own a professional sports team? I know owners of teams, and they said it was the worst background check they'd ever been through. It wasn't just the FBI, but it was also the CIA, because they have the ability to control what 80,000 people are thinking in the course of a game. It is that connected consciousness that they want to control and influence so that society will move in a single direction. For instance, safe and effective, right? They told everybody that. And by the way, we came to understand, I've heard it from many, many plaintiffs. They heard the exact same 7 words across the world. Take the shot, it'll be okay. They heard it in their heads, voice to skull technology, to influence people saying, take the shots or you're not virtuous. Take the shots or you're going to kill grandma. It is exactly what you're talking about.
It is a bad sign altogether that the same way that the jobs were pushed by the governments, the 5G grid is being pushed by governments.
Yes.
And this is always about control.
Yes.
Government is not our friend.
That's
This
right.
is my conviction. So I think what I would like to invite people to do is to deal more consciously with the topic of 5G and of their smartphones, connecting them to the Internet of Bodies, to the Internet of Things.
Yes.
I would like to invite people to join your class of action. It's important to me to point out, some people might be skeptical, saying, okay, they are going to force US government to do something about it. What about my government? Well, I am sure that it will have effect on all governments after all,
Yes,
because the topic, the ethics of 5G and the purpose behind the 5G is the same everywhere in the world. And the so-called lockstep, which was used on us, is kind of blessing for us to use now. I also would like to invite people to tell the story, meaning tell to 10 other people and ask them to do the same.
Earn your combat patch and then show everybody this, because you will be a person with the right to wear it, because you're standing and you deserve the combat patch. And I appreciate that. Mascha, I'm sending one to you as fast as I can.
Thank you, Todd. It's an honor. It's a different topic, but it's important to me to mention it. You already appealed to Donald Trump regarding his support for the mRNA vaccination against cancer. I'm really grateful to you for this. I'm happy you've done so. I hope he is listening to you and
Me too.
is following you. But if he does not, are you going to fight this project?
Of course. We don't have a choice. We are in an extinction level event. We have only 2 choices before us, Mascha. To stand and fight, or to wait for the end. Go dig a hole in your yard and wait for the end. Either way, humanity is under attack right now. So you have only 2 choices. And I would remind people of this. Life is terminal. Life is hazardous to your health. You're gonna die anyway, so how do you want to die? Do you want to die fighting, or do you want to die on your knees praying that you can have another day?
No,
Stand and fight.
I want to fight, to win, and to live.
That's right. Exactly right. And that's our mission.
I also would like to invite people to be in hope, in confidence, and in this way to determine the reality through their positive emotions. So we don't
Beautiful.
need to be scared, not at all, with people like yourself supporting us on the way.
You know, thank you for that. I would tell you this. I was the first guy to sue the DOD, and I had many people tell me that I was going to be dead. I've had many death threats. That was 4 years ago.
Can imagine.
I'm still here.
Fantastic, Todd. Thank you so much. Thank you
Such
for the
an honor.
conversations. Thank you for what you are doing. Thank you for the invitation for the people in Europe to join into your class action against 5G.
It's really my honor, Mascha, and I'm grateful to you and all the support you've provided. And I'm going to invite very quickly back Cordelia or Lisa in the background in case you have any questions for Mascha. Let's hear those, and then we'll finish up.
Yes, I just wanted to ask, how is it possible for us to get the word out to other countries? Like, how should we do that? What would be the best way to help them get the information?
Good. That's a good question. So we're going to be doing weekly symposiums on CloutHub, and one feature of CloutHub is in the video section. You can watch any one of our videos in every spoken language. It's in closed captioning at the bottom. And it depends on people who join our fight to send around the link. Be a part of it. Join our symposiums. Watch our symposiums. And then have a dinner conversation. Talk to your family. Talk to your friends and say, look, I joined this because I don't like being cooked, and I'm going to stop them. And I need you to stop them too. So take a link from our videos from this one and just send it to everybody you know, because everybody is universally harmed. Everybody needs to know this information.
Todd, just to relay this, to address the same question, do you think you might demonstrate Archimedes' website? Just 3 minutes, just a really very brief glance at the
Can you
website.
bring it up, Cordelia?
Yes, I already have it ready.
Oh, there we go.
Fantastic. I think we are going to put the link to the website and to this National Institute of Health website under the video, right?
That's right. We'll put that in so that people can go straight there, but it's really simple. It's projectarchimedes.org. I see it there right now. Very simple to get there.
You don't see it anymore?
Yeah, it's down there. Well, at the bottom, you'll see there's a ticker at the very bottom of the video.
Okay.
So everybody can see Project Archimedes. Come and visit. It doesn't cost you anything to come and learn. Also, I would encourage people to go to our other sister websites that also have information. The entire libraries of information are available at vaxchoice.com. That's VAXX choice.com. And if you want the self-help legal templates, we've already created them, including criminal complaints to try and stop the 5G in your neighborhood. Those are available at 5 Small Stones. That's the number 5 smallstonesaltogether.com. 5smallstones.com. All of that is made available. All of that is for free. Our mission is really simple: the survival of our species. That's our mission.
If people have questions, how do they to connect? Is there some chat tool, conversation possibility on the website?
Absolutely. Yep. So on the website, but also on the video. So if you come to CloutHub, there's a chat that happens with every video, and we monitor that. We have a team of people doing that. So they can come in, they can ask questions, and then everybody can see and hear the questions at the same time, and we'll address them as we go. And again, we're going to be doing weekly symposiums, and we will invite people to participate. They can ask questions during the symposium, and we'll answer those.
So it's an open forum you're planning?
It's an open forum. Okay. Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Yeah. We also have multiple other social media for people to find us on X. We also have an Instagram. Please follow us there if you also have questions. And if you already have those apps, it makes it easier for you to be able to answer those questions.
Absolutely. And so visit Vax Choice, by the way. VAXX Choice is where we publish all of these videos on X and on, what's the other one, Rumble, Pill. We're on a lot of different places. Facebook, I think. Anyway, you can find us. look for Project Archimedes or look for Vax Choice, VAXX Choice.
Just kindly, Corla, could you send all of the relevant links to me? It would be amazing. We could add them under the video.
We will absolutely do that, and they'll be included in the video in the description. People can just click on them.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, Mascha, thanks to you for being here. Thank you for your leadership. You are one of our team leaders in Europe, and you're doing a fabulous job. I encourage you to keep going to the best of your ability, and please find other people in other nations and other parts of the world. Humanity is under attack, and by your help and that of others like you, we're going to survive this. We're going to stop this. We're going to take our planet back, Mascha. So God bless you and Cordelia and the rest of the family that makes this happen. You're all members of the family, the human family. God bless all.
I don't understand myself as a leader, but I'm really trying to help. It's a very important topic to me. As I said, this is the one thing which must work to make other things work. So I'll be doing my very best, and I'm grateful to you for this conversation. And I hope I see you very soon again.
You will. And by the way, your conduct makes you a leader. So God bless you for that, Mascha. Thank you for being here today. I'll look forward to doing it again soon.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for being
guys.
here and watching us. Have a